They were astronomers, architects, and engineers of a sophistication that still baffles modern minds. The Maya, a civilization so advanced, it charted the cosmos with eerie precision and built cities aligned with celestial bodies. And then they vanished. Or so we were told. But what if the Maya never truly disappeared? What if they mastered a level of consciousness, time manipulation, and planetary knowledge so profound, they chose to exit history, not perish within it? Recently uncovered jungle ruins, bizarre glyphs, and forbidden codices hint at a shocking possibility. The Maya may have reached a tipping point, a breakthrough so powerful it shattered their need for physical civilization. A leap in understanding that not only defies the narrative, but could reframe everything we know about time, space, and human potential. Mainstream archaeology won't touch it, but new discoveries suggest their disappearance may have been deliberate. And if that's true, we've been looking for them in the wrong place. Maybe, just maybe, they're still here, hidden in plain sight. Deep in the rainforests of northern Guatemala, something extraordinary happened. In 2018, archaeologists used LiDAR, light detection and ranging, to digitally strip away the jungle canopy over the Petén region. What they uncovered shocked even the most seasoned Maya scholars. Hidden beneath the trees were over 60,000 previously unknown structures. Entire cities, elevated highways, complex irrigation systems, fortresses, even massive pyramids, all invisible to the naked eye, swallowed by centuries of forest. It wasn't just the scale that stunned researchers. It was the implication. This wasn't a scattered tribal society. This was a sprawling, urbanized empire. Estimates of the ancient Maya population, once pegged around 1 to 2 million, were instantly thrown into chaos. New data suggested up to 20 million people may have lived in these hidden cities, rivaling the population of Europe at the same time. And yet, they left no trace of a collapse in these ruins. No signs of war. No mass graves. No layers of destruction. Just silence. Like they simply walked away. But how could a civilization so vast, so advanced, and so interlinked disappear without a trace? Let's dig deeper. The megaliths of El Mirador. One of the most astonishing discoveries was the city of El Mirador, now believed to be one of the largest and oldest Maya cities ever built, dating back to 1000 BCE, predating even the classic Maya era. El Mirador's centerpiece, the La Danta Pyramid, stands over 230 feet high, larger in volume than Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza. How did a supposedly primitive civilization, without metal tools or the wheel, move and stack millions of limestone blocks into such massive, geometrically perfect formations? La Danta wasn't the only marvel. LiDAR revealed a superhighway network, 25-foot wide raised stone causeways stretching for miles, connecting distant cities through the jungle. To put it bluntly, the Maya built highways in the rainforest before the Romans did in Europe. And somehow we missed it all. Why? Because something, or someone, buried it. Not physically, but historically. Mainstream archaeology insisted for decades that the Maya were decentralized, rural, and simplistic. But these jungle revelations destroy that narrative. So what else have we overlooked? Forbidden alignments. The newly mapped city layouts revealed something even stranger: astronomical alignment. Temples, pyramids, and plazas were precisely oriented with the solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles. Some alignments suggest the Maya tracked Venus, Mars, and even precession of the equinoxes, movements that take thousands of years to measure accurately. How did they know? Mainstream answers point to naked eye observation and long-term recording. But this level of precision suggests generational knowledge transfer, or access to something even more enigmatic. Could the Maya have inherited this knowledge from an older civilization? Or perhaps rediscovered ancient knowledge buried from an even deeper past? The mystery thickens when you realize many of these temples mirror the positions of stars, most notably the constellation Orion and the Pleiades cluster. Why those stars? Why build entire cities to mimic the sky? Unless the Maya believed, or knew, that their origins were not entirely of this earth. Vanishing into the green, here's where the mystery takes a darker turn. By 900 CE, many of these great cities were abandoned. No one knows exactly why. Yes, theories abound: droughts, war, environmental collapse. But the jungle cities show no widespread destruction, no battle scars, no desperation, only precision, right until the end. Some pyramids and temples appear to have been intentionally sealed, as if preserving something, or protecting it. What if the Maya didn't fall victim to collapse, but chose disappearance? What if their final act was not survival, but transcendence? Some glyphs discovered deep in tombs and temples show figures dissolving into starlight, serpents winding around celestial gates, and human forms walking into portals marked with glyphs for sky and rebirth. Interpretations vary, but some ancient astronaut theorists and alternative historians believe these were not metaphors. They were instructions. The missing pieces, despite thousands of glyphs and monuments, less than 20 of the Maya language has been fully decoded. This means 80 of their story, their rituals, technology, philosophy, and cosmology remains hidden. Could the key to their disappearance lie in what we haven't yet translated? Many surviving stele, stone slabs covered in glyphs, end abruptly in a date, 13.0.0.0.0 on the long count calendar. Most mainstream scholars interpret this as December 21st, 2012, the supposed end of the calendar. But what if that date wasn't an end? What if it marked an activation? In ancient Maya belief, time wasn't linear. It was cyclical, with different ages of human consciousness. According to the Popol Vuh, the sacred Maya book of creation, we are not the first world. Several others have risen and fallen, each more advanced than the last, and each destroyed by a kind of cosmic reset. So what if the Maya weren't just obsessed with tracking time, but preparing for a transition beyond it? Could their disappearance have been the beginning of a new cycle, one we still don't understand? Because here's the most unsettling part. Local Maya elders in Guatemala still speak of a return. Not of gods, not of invaders, but of those who left to the stars and are coming back. It was hidden in plain sight for centuries, dismissed by scholars, feared by conquistadors, and nearly burned into oblivion by the Catholic Church. But it survived. A fragile, weathered manuscript made from bark paper and ink, the Dresden Codex. Of the thousands of Maya books believed to have once existed, only 4 are known to survive. And the Dresden Codex is the most detailed, the most advanced, and the most disturbing. Because within its pages lies more than a calendar. It may contain a blueprint for time itself. A book of impossible knowledge dated to the 11th or 12th century, but believed to be a copy of a much older original. The Dresden Codex contains over 70 pages of intricate glyphs, astronomical calculations, ritual guides, and apocalyptic imagery. What shocked scholars was how accurate the astronomy was. The Maya tracked the synodic cycle of Venus, 584 days, with an error of less than 1 day over 500 years. They mapped lunar eclipses centuries in advance, tracked solar zeniths, and even recorded cycles of solar storms. In a pre-telescope era, this was deemed impossible. So how did they do it? Here's where it gets stranger. Some glyphs within the codex show deities interacting with spirals of time, standing inside multi-directional gateways, and moving between 3-layered realms, the underworld, earth, and sky. To the untrained eye, these may seem mythological. But quantum physicists looking at the codex notice something eerily familiar. The diagrams, spirals, and numerological patterns resemble modern-day space-time models, especially those involving time dilation, wormholes, and nonlinear timelines. Could the Maya have encoded something far deeper than mythology? Hourglass done, the calendar that bent time at the heart of the codex, is a system the Maya called the long count. Unlike the Gregorian calendar we use today, the long count doesn't just track solar years, it measures vast cosmic cycles, stretching over millions of days. The most discussed cycle is the Bacton, roughly 394 solar years. According to the Codex and other inscriptions, the current age, the 13th Bacton, began in 3114 BCE and ended in 2012 CE. This is where pop culture famously misinterpreted it as a doomsday prophecy. But that wasn't what the Maya said. They didn't predict an end. They marked a transformation, a transition between worlds, a shift in consciousness, a gateway. And here's the kicker. On page 74 of the Codex, there's a glyph combination that scholars still debate. It's often translated as to fold time or to open the serpent of moments. One leading epigrapher suggested it referred to nonlinear reality, the ability to step outside of time and view it like a map. That concept, viewing time as a landscape instead of a line, is exactly how Einstein described space-time in relativity theory. But the Maya did it 1,000 years earlier. So, who gave them this knowledge? The Lords of Time. According to Maya mythology, there are 13 deities known as the Lords of Time. They govern the passage of cycles and sit atop the wheel of reality. Each is associated with a number, a direction, an element, and, more mysteriously, a frequency. Some fringe researchers believe these frequencies weren't symbolic. They were literal, sound vibrations, similar to cymatics, capable of influencing perception and even reality itself. In other words, the Maya may have believed time could be tuned like a musical instrument. And they weren't alone. Across the world, ancient cultures from the Dogon in Africa to the Vedas in India spoke of vibrational gateways, sacred tones, and temporal harmonics. What if they were describing the same phenomenon? What if the Dresden Codex isn't just a calendar or almanac, but a manual, a guide to activating human consciousness through frequency and geometry to step outside of time? It would explain the depictions of humans becoming serpents, birds, and beams of light, not as hallucinations or myths, but transformative experiences. And then there's the device. The artifact no one can explain. In 2006, in a remote cave near the ancient city of Köpen, archaeologists uncovered a small obsidian disc engraved with Maya glyphs never seen before. Its center showed a spiral of interlocking circles, 13 in total, surrounded by depictions of the Sun, Venus, and what appeared to be binary code. Experts dismissed it as stylized art, but a team of independent researchers ran the pattern through software used for radio signal analysis. The result? A repeating pulse, not random, but structured. A signal. Some called it a coincidence. Others believe it may be the remnants of a lost technology, a harmonic device used in ritual to tune the brain or open a state of altered time perception. Was it symbolic or functional? We don't know, because the artifact was removed from circulation, quietly handed over to a private collection, and has never been seen again. Just like the other so-called anomalous artifacts that keep vanishing. So why would someone want to erase this? Because it leads to a question too big to ignore. Were the Maya time travelers? We're not talking about DeLoreans or sci-fi machines. We're talking about consciousness, the ability to transcend linear time through altered states, vibration, and geometry. Modern physics is starting to catch up. Einstein's equations allow for closed time-like curves, loops in space-time that could allow a traveler to return to a previous point. Theoretical constructs like wormholes, tachyons, and even quantum entanglement suggest time may be more fluid than we think. And if time is not fixed, then neither is history. Some believe the Maya mastered this truth, that their pyramids weren't just tombs or temples, but resonant machines designed to focus vibration, align with celestial energies, and alter the state of human perception. That the Codex was not a storybook, but a field manual. And that in 2012, something did happen. A doorway opened, not to the end of the world, but to a new understanding of it. And we weren't ready, because we were too busy looking for apocalypse instead of awakening. But the Maya knew, and according to new findings, they may not have been the only ones. There's a symbol that echoes across continents, across time, and across civilizations that supposedly never met. A serpent, often feathered, winged, or cosmic, entwined with the stars. To the Maya, he was Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god of knowledge, time, and sky. In Aztec lore, he becomes Quetzalcoatl, a bearded deity who descends from the heavens and teaches civilization. In Egypt, he's the Uraeus, the serpent rising from the brow of the pharaoh, a symbol of divine consciousness. In Sumer, he slithers through the Epic of Gilgamesh. In India, he's the Naga, the serpent beings guarding ancient wisdom in underground cities. And in nearly every version, he is connected to the stars. Could these legends be describing the same being? Or more radically, a group of beings? And if so, what were they trying to show us? Let's follow the stars. The celestial blueprint at the center of Maya cosmology lies the Milky Way, or what they called the World Tree, the great serpent in the sky. Their temples, ball courts, and ceremonial centers were aligned not only to the sun and moon, but to specific points along the Milky Way's galactic center. On solstices and equinoxes, shadows and light at structures like Chichen Itza transformed the stepped pyramid into a serpent slithering down its staircase, a visual illusion of Kukulkan's descent from the heavens. But it's not just symbolic. Studies show that the orientation of many Maya cities, such as Tikal, Uxmal, and Köppen, mirror star constellations. At Chichen Itza, the central pyramid aligns with the Pleiades during its zenith, the same star cluster revered by Japanese Shintoists, Aboriginal Australians, Dogon tribes, and ancient Greeks. The question is, why? What made the Pleiades so universally sacred? And how did ancient cultures on opposite sides of the world, with no contact, identify it, and build entire myths and monuments around it? Unless they weren't discovering it independently. They were taught. Echoes from the East. Now consider this. The serpent gods of Mesoamerica, Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl, were described as pale-skinned, bearded, tall, and possessing knowledge of astronomy, calendars, and agriculture. These descriptions clash violently with the indigenous appearance of the Maya and Aztecs, and even more so with their deities, who were typically zoomorphic or abstract. So who were these gods? When Spanish conquistadors arrived, the Aztecs mistook Hernán Cortés for Quetzalcoatl returning, not just because of his appearance, but because of the timing. He arrived in 1519, a year predicted in their calendar for the return of the feathered serpent. Coincidence? Or misremembered prophecy? But here's where it gets even more bizarre. Across the ocean, in Angkor Wat, Cambodia's most famous temple complex, lies a structure built in the 12th century, perfectly aligned to the Draco constellation and featuring Naga serpent carvings. Like Chichen Itza, it too centers around a cosmic serpent, a divine race of sky beings who taught mankind. It too features seven-headed serpent deities, thought to represent the Pleiades. And most strikingly, the temple complex of Angkor Wat mirrors the layout of the constellation Draco, just as Teotihuacan mirrors Orion's belt. What are the odds? Unless both were built under the guidance of a shared knowledge system, one rooted in the stars. The serpent stargates, ancient astronaut theorists and fringe historians have long speculated that these serpent deities weren't gods in the religious sense, but interdimensional teachers, or even extraterrestrial emissaries. Their wings and feathers may have been stylized depictions of flight or energy fields. Their descents from the sky, not mythology, contact events. And the stars they came from? The Pleiades, Orion, Draco, Sirius. The Maya themselves believed Kukulkan came from a place called Tamoanchan, a paradise in the sky, reachable only through a celestial gateway. A similar gateway is described in the Temple of the Inscriptions at Palenque, where King Pakal's tomb lid depicts him descending into a machine, what some claim is a rocket, complete with breathing tubes, levers, and flames. Mainstream archaeology says it's symbolic, but the exact same pose appears in Sumerian cylinder seals, Indus Valley artifacts, and even Native American petroglyphs. So either every ancient culture was having the same hallucination, or they were depicting something real. And then there's the Dogon. The Dogon and the Maya, a hidden link? The Dogon people of Mali, West Africa, possess a cosmology so complex and accurate, it baffled Western scientists for decades. They've known, for centuries, that Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, has an invisible companion star, Sirius B, a white dwarf. They knew it was extremely dense, orbited Sirius every 50 years, and could not be seen with the naked eye. Western science only confirmed these facts in the 20th century. How did they know? They say they were told by beings from Sirius, the Namo, who arrived from the sky in an arc of fire and taught them about the stars, agriculture, and human origins. The Namo were serpent-like, aquatic, and celestial. Sound familiar? Their mythology mirrors that of the Maya, serpents, cosmic cycles, sky teachers, stargates. So now the picture sharpens. Maya, Dogon, Egyptians, Cambodians, Sumerians, Aboriginal Australians, all separated by oceans and millennia, yet all obsessed with the same stars, the same symbols, and the same sky serpent beings. Is this just archetypal psychology? or a forgotten legacy? Were ancient civilizations seeded, not in a biological sense, but in consciousness, by a traveling priesthood of astronomer sages? Or perhaps, by something even more advanced, something that gave the Maya their maps, their mathematics, and their exit plan? Because if these beings once came down, they may have also helped the Maya go up. And that brings us back to the long count calendar. The final date, December 21st, 2012, was not just an ending. It marked the alignment of Earth, the Sun, and the galactic center for the first time in 26,000 years. The world tree, the cosmic serpent, the gateway. The date wasn't arbitrary. It was astronomical. And the Maya knew it, because they had the star maps. For centuries, archaeologists believed they were just numbers, symbols, mythical dates carved into stone, marking royal births, sacred rituals, and apocalyptic prophecies. But what if the Maya's most sacred glyphs weren't just calendar notations? What if they were coordinates? Not in space, but in time. Because on December 21st, 2012, the Maya long count calendar ended its 13th Bactan, a 5,126-year cycle that began in 3114 BCE. According to the Maya, this date wasn't the end of the world, as media headlines claimed. It was the end of one world and the birth of another. But what kind of world were they referring to? And more disturbingly, what did they do on that day? The calendar as a machine, the Maya long count wasn't just a way to count days. It was a fractal time system, tracking the resonance between astronomical cycles, solar, lunar, Venusian, galactic. Every unit, the kin, unal, ton, katun, and Bactan, operated like gears in a cosmic machine, synchronizing the rhythm of Earth with the pulse of the cosmos. This system didn't simply mark linear progression. It predicted moments of transformation, when energy, consciousness, and reality itself would shift. To the Maya, time was alive. And the end of a 13 Bactan cycle was not a disaster. It was an opportunity, a window, a gate, a moment of choice. The Great Alignment on December 21st, 2012, something truly rare occurred. Earth, the Sun, and the galactic center aligned along the plane of the Milky Way, a celestial configuration that happens once every 26,000 years. To most modern people, this meant little. But to the Maya, the galactic center was the womb of the universe, the black hole they called Hunab-Ku, the source of creation and the place where souls are born and reborn. Their myths described it as the mouth of the world serpent, a place of endings and beginnings. And their most sacred pyramids, from El Castillo to Tikal, were constructed to align with this point in the heavens. At this alignment, they believed, the veil between worlds thinned. Spiritual energy flooded the earth, and those prepared could ascend, not in body, but in consciousness, not into heaven, but into the next frequency. Is it possible the Maya used this cosmic window to exit our timeline? Could the pyramid structures have been more than temples? Could they have been resonant machines, designed to amplify the human spirit and guide it across dimensional thresholds? What if the long count wasn't a calendar at all, but a countdown? The Disappearance Reconsidered. Let's return to the mystery of the disappearance. Mainstream historians claim the classic Maya collapse occurred around 900 CE, long before 2012. But collapse isn't disappearance. Many cities were abandoned, yes, but many were not. And those that were seem to have been left deliberately. Pyramids sealed, temples closed, glyphs completed. In some cases, final glyphs were found with symbols scholars still don't understand, resembling spirals, starbursts, and intersecting waves. The last inscriptions don't speak of war or famine. They speak of completion, of fulfillment, as if the Maya had finished their work and walked away. But where? Here's where it gets even stranger. Multiple independent shamans and Maya spiritual leaders, particularly the Daykeepers of Guatemala, claimed that their ancestors didn't die out. They transcended. In 2012, ceremonies were held at sacred sites, not just in Central America, but across the globe: Tibet, Egypt, Easter Island, Stonehenge. They spoke of a return to cosmic consciousness, of reconnecting to what the ancients called the original frequency. And they said something else, something chilling. They claimed only those with the knowledge would make it through the gate. Only those in sync with the long count, in mind, body, and soul, could see the doorway when it opened. To the rest of us, It would look like nothing happened, because the real event was invisible. It was internal, vibrational, dimensional, and those who passed through, they didn't go into the past or future. They went sideways, into a parallel layer of reality, one vibrating just beyond our perception. And they're still there, watching, waiting, or maybe guiding. The technology of consciousness modern science is finally catching up to these ideas. Quantum physics now suggests the existence of multiple realities, parallel universes layered atop one another like slices of bread. The human brain, once thought to be purely biological, is now suspected to act as a quantum receiver capable of tuning into frequencies of consciousness. Some physicists propose that time is an illusion and all moments exist simultaneously, past, present, and future. What we perceive as movement is simply consciousness shifting focus. This matches what ancient traditions, including the Maya, have said all along. That time is a dream. That reality is a projection. And that ancient knowledge was not about building flying machines, but about building the mind. What if the Maya had mastered this? What if their real technology wasn't stone or metal, but human potential? Their pyramids, calendars, and codices weren't devices. They were tools for awakening. They weren't waiting for aliens. They were becoming them. Becoming interdimensional beings with the ability to step in and out of timelines as teachers, watchers, and messengers. And 2012 was their signal, their graduation, their leap into the next octave of existence. Not a fall, a flight. Are the Maya still here? Here's the question that mainstream history refuses to ask. What if the Maya never disappeared because they never truly lived where we think they did? What if this world was only one stop on their cosmic journey? What if they walked into the stars not with ships, but with mind and ritual and frequency? And what if their descendants are still with us? Not in ruins or artifacts, but in dreams, symbols, and the thin spaces between dimensions. Maybe the Maya didn't vanish. Maybe we did. Maybe we're the ones out of sync, searching in stone what can only be found in consciousness, because they left us a map. And it's not just carved in pyramids or etched in codices. It's written in time itself. And time just ran out. So what if we've had it all wrong? What if the Maya didn't fall, but rose? Not into heaven, but into another frequency, a new octave of consciousness we've only just begun to rediscover? Imagine a civilization that didn't vanish, but evolved, that used stone not for war, but for resonance, that measured time not to survive, but to ascend. What if we're standing on the ashes of a civilization that cracked the code to reality and then moved on? And what if they left us clues, hidden in jungle ruins, in pyramids aligned to the stars, in codices we barely understand, in myths dismissed as fantasy, and in numbers that still pulse beneath our modern calendars? Could we follow them? Could we, too, learn to step beyond time? Maybe 2012 wasn't the end of the world. Maybe it was a test. And maybe the real countdown is just beginning. If you believe history is more than what textbooks tell us, if you're ready to uncover the forbidden layers of our past, then subscribe for more revelations. Because the truth isn't lost. It's just waiting to be remembered. And the Maya? They may be closer than we think.